I am live. Guys, I'm live. I'm live right now. Thanks to Dave. Thanks to Dave. I'm live, Aiden. It says I'm live. There might be a slight delay because of delay stuff, but I am live. So, woo! Here I am. Here I am. Boom, boom. Yeah. I apologize, guys. I apologize so much. So what happened was, I was a guest on with Chris. I always see his initials and I read Tactical Bacon, but it's the channel to be named later, TCTBNL. And oh, David, yeah, I forgot. I got to get back to our conversation about that R2D. I'm sorry, guys. So since I was on an hour and a half live stream yesterday, I forgot that today is live stream day. I just forgot until Dave texted me and he said, "You doing the chat?" And I looked at this text message at 6:48, and this is exactly it. Yeah, with shit. And I was like, "Oh my god!" I apologize humbly and deeply. So what's going on, guys? I'm unprepared. I'm completely unprepared. But Kurt is old and broken, but getting better, so that's awesome. So I am so happy to see you guys. Wow. I can't believe I was this irresponsible. So Aiden's with us. I was actually sitting there. I was just grinding away on Far Cry 6. And you know, me and my trusty crocodile Guapo. And the original Darth Vader, Darth Hort. Wow, that's cool. So how is everybody? Guess what finally showed up today, by the way? And this is through no fault of Monthly Knife Club. And you know, you're going to see this on the actual video. Let me get my tracking thing out here. There goes the microphone. So big shout out to Dave for making sure that this actually took place tonight. If you look at this, Monthly Knife Club. So look at it. They had their hands on it on the 29th of September, right? In transit, on time. Bam! All of a sudden, late, gone, disappeared on the 3rd. He filed a missing mail search request on the 7th, and it missing from the 3rd until the 12th, where it showed up in Philadelphia, and then they got it to me today. So craziness, huh? Anyway, you're not thrilled with going gear this month? I haven't gotten going gear this month, so I don't know. I'm happy with the Onyx from Monthly Knife Club, but it has been, guys, it has been. We're doing so much in the shop, and it just, oh good. My high school ex-girlfriend just posted a Facebook story too, and I'm just gonna throw this out there. So, you know, like when you're in high school and you have the high school sweetheart and like they are the love of your life, and like you're convinced in like 10th grade in high school that's the one you're going to marry and be with forever, right? Like you had that, like you're sure. And then she breaks your heart and it crushes your soul and your world, right? But you always want that one. You want that one to end up fat and ugly and alone forever, right? And that's the way you want them to end up life, because they're the ones that broke your heart. I'm just going to show you this I don't know why I'm doing this, but you're like, yeah, that's what should happen, just out of fairness, because like that's how you want life to work out. Hang on. Sorry, I'm doing this to prove a point. Oh, I guess I don't. She was just messaging me to say hi. But then you find out that like the high school ex-girlfriend that broke your heart is like a Victoria's Secret supermodel now, and you're like, fuck you. How dare you? How dare you not be a fat, ugly pig all these years later? Anyway, so yeah, sorry. So what's going on, guys? You tomorrow are going to see a video on a toy that me and Dave were messing with the other day. The company sells it as night vision binoculars. They are night vision. They are distance enhancement. They're not straight binoculars, but they're kind of cool. We're going to see the full monthly Knife Club video on Friday, probably, is when it will post. But how cool. How cool. For the Onyx video. I mean, for the Onyx. We got an 80-15 light. Could not be more pleased. But if that wasn't enough, let's throw in another Cold Steel. The Cold Steel Crawford 1. Just awesomeness. Awesomeness. Is good. It's not a home run. A lot of talk about the going gear. I can't wait to get mine to check it out. I'm really interested in seeing how it all ends up. But so I love the 80-15. It is just such a sweet knife. It is awesome. But we'll talk about that later. Anyway. So how's it going with everybody tonight? We have been doing so much cool stuff in the shop. And I was not actually, so the Smoky Mountain, what'd you guys think about the Smoky Mountain box? I was very dismayed to find out that K-Bar does make a Space Force blue and gray knife, and they just didn't give it to us in the Smoky Mountain box. We got the lame-o color. Have you ever used a pair of night vision sunglasses? The only sunglasses that were like night vision-y that I used saw weird aliens when I put it on, and it gave me a headache, so I had to stop wearing them. So no, didn't. I stopped. But so I was really upset to find out that yes, they do in fact have a Space Force, a real Space Force K-Bar. And the one that Smoky Mountain was like the AliExpress version, I don't know. Like, no, I mean, I know it's a real K-Bar. I know it's made in New York. I know, but it's like the budget, quick, we ran out of paint. Let's just stamp USSF on it and call it Space Force. I don't know why they did that. Not that it would, I mean, it's a cosmetic change only on the other one, but at least it's a cool cosmetic change. I mean, it'd be nice. So I'm not sure what's going on with that. I mean, this box was okay. The Smoky Mountain box was okay. It wasn't great. That buck was like, I don't know why Buck even has those lines. Like, I mean, I guess I do. I know why every knife company has the lower end stuff, but I don't know, I feel like it's almost an insult to Buck that they have those made in China ones, because that's everything that Buck is not. I mean, there's Peter again contributing his $5 as he always does, because Peter is an awesome dude. Thank you, Peter. Like, without fail, Peter is just this awesome contributor every Wednesday night. Thank you. Phil, I'll have to check your thing up. Yours is still in Houston? So Daniel, I don't know if you missed the beginning. Mine showed up today. All of a sudden, yesterday, mine made it to Philly. After so my tracking had the message that said missing mail investigation started, whatever, on the 3rd. Out of nowhere, it had no updates, and then yesterday it randomly showed up in Philly, and then today it arrived here. It was weird, and so. Dude, you are an awesome guy. We're gonna have to put together a little something just for you because you are awesome. Oh, now here's something else. Nope. There's only one box, and there's still one that is missing. So there's another Smoky Mountain. There's another Onyx box that is among the missing, or this could be your Smoky Mountain box, your box, and they still messed it up. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. We'll see. So this is what's really interesting. So the message that Carrie, the guy who does Monthly Knife Club, got from USPS when these boxes went missing was that, and he CC'd me and Daniel because we live geographically in the same corner of the United States, was that due to the loss of their Kearney, New Jersey center, things were getting messed up. And that is causing the delays because they lost their Kearney, New Jersey center. However, I want to show you guys something. Hang on. Hold on. This is something else that I ordered. Look at the date. On the 13th. Departed Kearney, New Jersey distribution center. So was that just, and I'm not, honestly, these days, I'm not putting the Postal Service above just making crap up like the rest of the government does to get people off their backs. I would totally believe that they just lost these boxes, just like they've done to me when I batch shipped a bunch of stuff and they just either lost or somebody took home a bunch of boxes. I don't know. I don't know. Hey, I am just awesome. Rachel wants the battle box tent. Yeah, I've got to find that battle box tent. You paid me for shipping for the battle box tent? I don't remember you paying me for the shipping. You asked me if I wanted you to, and I remember saying you didn't have to. I have no idea where the battle box tent is. But anyway, so elbow cough. So Rachel, what's the surgery update? What is the health update? What is the life update? Oh, you did it in super chat? I don't remember. Well, I gotta find that tent and get it to you. I gotta go through a bunch of stuff. So the story behind the battle box tent. You guys remember the battle box TP tent? Rachel wanted it and she offered to buy it, and I was like, no, I'll give it to you because I don't use it. And I just can't. I have such a mountain of stuff. You need it next week? Oh, surgery's next week. Okay. They keep pushing that off. Wonder if I can get you a tent as a get well present. All right. Dave, you're going to have to help me go through the laundry room's worth of stuff. I'm going to make Dave help me. Dave's here. Oh. Ew. I don't like blueberry. So, ew. So here's what I want to talk about. And, oh, Dave, by the way. So Dave, speaking of supporters of the channel. All right. So let me put Dave on a little pedestal here and embarrass him. So Dave is, I'm not going to lie. Like, I have 3 friends here in Pennsylvania because I don't like Pennsylvania very much. And Dave is one of them. And Dave is like probably one of my best friends. When you only have 3, here, all my friends are ex-military dudes and dudettes and llamas, and they're all over the place. And here's the great thing about military friends, right? I have not been able to score any blue dew yet. No, No, it is not. It is out in the world. I don't know. I have not. And so I'm really upset. But me and Dave even went out looking for it one day in a store, couldn't find it. But anyway, when you have your military bros and broettes, like you cannot speak to them for like 10 years and then you talk to them again and it's like no time has passed. And that's what the majority of my friends are. But, I need to take a trip. Okay. But anyway, of actual physical friends that I can hang out with, I have like 3 in Pennsylvania. And Dave is first and foremost among them. So I mention him a lot because I don't like people very much. I don't like to go out and do anything very much. And Dave is the one who manages to get me out of the confines of the house the most to do stuff. And he's awesome. So when I talk about good supporters of the channel, he's always out and about, for work because he does IT stuff. And so he's traveling around to clients. And whenever he comes upon something that he thinks will make a funny video and he runs in EDC circles and knife circles and stuff like that. So he's constantly trading, buying, swapping, selling. And so whenever he comes upon stuff that he thinks will be good video fodder, he grabs it. And, whether it's for me, or he just picks it up and he's like, I got this and it would be a good video. So you can have it. And he's like, he knows that once it enters my black hole of the video lineup, he might not see it for a month and a half until I get the video done. He's just really cool. Sunshine, drop a link right there in the comment, right there. For all the information for when we get them. I'm gonna buy a couple. I'll do it right after this thing. And then so anyway, Dave has picked up some cool stuff for us to do videos, and he bought a whole professional kind of mixing board so that we can start doing like real podcast stuff and everything. Dave is the reason I have my actual good, professional microphone here for this. So I want to take a moment to just say, like, David, thank you, David, with the tear in my eye. He's really cool. And he has a lot of cool stuff as well. Maybe one day we'll just do a whole Dave collection video. And so, anyway, there we go. So, I want to talk to you guys because I know that we have in this group that usually tunes in a selection of like good folks. We have some LEO types, we have some emergency service, we have active duty veterans, and just, good old cool toy enthusiasts. And I want to talk to you guys in a little bit about this Marine Lieutenant Colonel who is facing court-martial for making statements and videos on Facebook. And we're going to get to that in a minute because I think there's more to it than a lot of people understand if you haven't been in the military. But I totally lost track of what I want to talk about first, because I want to talk about something first. If you don't tune into the channel to be named later, I'm putting it right up there. Wait, where is it? Here's Rachel's stuff for her individual, her custom MREs. And trust me, so if you're not following Rachel's channel, Rachel does extensive reviews and tasting of all sorts of MREs, rations, food stuff of militaries, like from all over the place, and civilian stuff too. So when she puts together her custom stuff, this isn't her just like saying, I like this, it tastes good. She has experience. And so she does that. Like, that's what she does. So it'd be really good. Now, this is what I was talking about before. The channel to be named later. He asked me to join him on his live stream yesterday, and he's a cool dude. And we talked a lot. We talked a lot about mental health stuff, but he basically just wanted to sit and chat with me. And I feel like it was a good live stream. So if you want to go check out his channel, he often does guests on his and just tries to get to know people, and it's pretty good. Now, the Marine Lieutenant Colonel, we're gonna get to that in a minute. There was something else I wanted to talk about. No, I can't remember what it was. Because again, I wasn't very readily prepared for this, and I feel like a big duty head. I'm a poop head, and I smell like poo, and I eat poo, and I like it, and I'm yeah. All right, so we'll just go to we'll talk about the Marine Lieutenant Colonel. Let me look up his name. I'll just get a news article that we can look at real quick. Oh, you know what? I got to put it in the other browser. So this Marine Lieutenant Colonel, he had some things to say about the leadership of the military who were responsible for the Afghanistan withdrawal. And you guys know I have very, very strong feelings about that and everything. And I'm going to share this real quick. Share screen, share window. So he had very strong feelings about what was going on. And he criticized the national command. He criticized the officers in charge. And he did it in a public video on social media. And he talked about failure of leadership. And his name was what? Scheller. And here's his picture. Now, since he did that, he has gotten himself in some trouble with the Marines. And some people are very upset about that because, they're talking about what about his First Amendment rights, and his right to express himself. So what happened was he made this complaint video. And I want to tell you guys up front, I agree with absolutely everything the man said. His reasoning, his logic, and his conclusion was spot on. I think he was absolutely right. He was relieved of command of his battalion that he was in charge of. He was put on administrative duty. He was investigated, and then he was told, he was given a gag order from that point to not post anything on social media again, which he violated. And then he was charged and put in confinement for violating a direct lawful order. And now he's chosen. They say he was court-martialed. What a lot of people don't realize is, there are different options. He decided to go for the court-martial. You often have the choice between receiving non-judicial punishment in the military, which is a level of command, just reviews everything and gives you a punishment, or you can choose to go to a full court-martial, which is very similar but not the same to a trial in a court of law for a civilian. He chose, he wanted to be court-martialed. And now he's going to apparently plead guilty. Now, I am very familiar with the military justice system and the Uniform Code of Military Justice. I don't know, that's the thing. They're being tight-lipped, Rachel, with what is actually going on. The thing is, I run into a lot of civilians who are appalled, and they want to talk about freedom and the First Amendment and stuff like this. But most civilians, I think, for number one, I think that today in this age, I was talking to some military friends before, a lot of people equate freedom with the lack of consequences to your actions, honestly. And to me, freedom comes with responsibilities as well. Freedom is not just willy-nilly with lack of consequences. But anyway, a lot of civilians seem to think that the government is violating his First Amendment rights, and he's allowed to say whatever he wants all the time. But The fact is, anybody that spent time in the military, whether you like it or not, whether you agree with it or not, you sign contracts, you swear oaths, you go through training, and a lot of the basic freedoms that exist for civilians walking around day to day do not exist in the same terms for military, for uniformed service. And I say I'm switching it, not just for military, but for uniformed service members, because it's not just the military. A lot of people don't realize the U.S. Public Health Service is considered a unit. They're not armed forces, but you ever wonder why the Surgeon General wears a uniform, a Navy-looking uniform? Because they're not just a civilian. The U.S. Public Health Service is a uniformed service with ranks and medals and all that other stuff of the United States government. There are elements of, I think they fall under the Department of Transportation, the National NOAA, National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Agency, is a uniformed service. They wear uniforms that are like a cross between Navy and Air Force. They're not military, but the Coast Guard, which we all joke about, and they are technically a branch of the military, but they're not part of the Department of Defense. They fall under Homeland Security. They used to fall under Department of Transportation. So anyway, everybody that is part of the a uniformed service falls under the Uniformed Code of Military Justice. And that's why it's phrased that way. And there are different rules. And in the last 10 years or so, the Uniform Code of Military Justice and each specific service has evolved and included rules for social media use, because there was a time where you could just post stuff on social media, and it was, social media was new and a brave new world. But because military, I hope I get the abbreviations right. The thing is, okay, so we'll backtrack for a minute. When I was on active duty, whether I was in uniform or not, I was a representative of the United States military and my branch of service 24/7. And you belong to the military 24/7, whether you're in uniform or not, whether you are on duty or not. So I can be off duty technically, although you are always subject to being called at any time, and going to work at any point. And anything I do is a reflection on my service. So if I get in a fight in the parking lot of Walmart with some dude over a parking space, and you guys see this, it's never, crazy dude named Mike gets into an altercation in Walmart parking lot. It's Air Force service member gets in a fight in Walmart parking lot. That's the way they report it. Everything you do, and that's why they always, they end punishments with your actions are a discredit, upon yourself, the United States Air Force, and the United States. Some of the things you are not allowed to do is to speak badly about your chain of command. You can disagree with your chain of command. Don't get me wrong. You can say, I don't think that is a good plan. I don't think we can pull that off. But you can't say that fucking sucks and you're an idiot. If you have a logical reason to back up your dissension or disagreement, that's fine. But at the same time, if it comes down and the command, the level above you says, well, this is what we're doing, you have to lockstep and say, I'm following my orders. Okay. Unless those orders are illegal orders as recognized by the UCMJ as illegal, or the law of armed conflict, or the law of land warfare, or whatever like that. But you also have to be willing to back it up and say, I morally and truthfully believe these orders were illegal. You can't say, well, I didn't like them, or I didn't agree with them. That is a court-martial for you. If an officer, tells me you have to kill civilians or, unarmed prisoners, it is my duty and responsibility to say, sir, ma'am, that is an order. I think the exact wording is it is my obligation to refuse to obey an order that I understand to be illegal, or the words are morally reprehensible. You know, but I got to be able to back that up in a court martial later if it comes to that, and say, I know that by the law of armed conflict and the UCMJ, killing civilians, non-combatants, and unarmed prisoners is illegal, and that's it. If they ask me to fill sandbags, they tell me to fill sandbags, and I'm like, no, I find that to be morally questionable, I'm going to have a hard time backing that up in court, and it's going to be me failing to follow a lawful order. Well, good old boy asked this: what if the government turns the military on us? And there are certain areas that are very cut and dry, and some that are not. I'm going to get back to that. But if you accept a command that is unlawful, would you get in trouble even though you were fulfilling an order? And I'm going to tell you to ask the Nazis that were hung at Nuremberg. And well, the answer is yes. If you follow an unlawful order, you are responsible for breaking that law. That's why in the military, every year or every 6 months now, you're responsible for completing all sorts of trainings now to make sure you're familiar with, and you have to do all kinds of things. So yeah, if you follow an unlawful order, you are responsible for following that order. Now, the officer that gave that order suffers higher consequences, but it is your responsibility to understand when you're given a lawfully unlawful order and not follow it. So now, if the government turns the military on us, that would be an unlawful order. So it is illegal. It is in the Constitution that the U.S. military cannot be used to enforce laws in the United States. That's why there's a National Guard. The U.S. military cannot be used to harm civilians or to intentionally harm civilians, or to there's all sorts of stuff. However, the U.S. military can be used if the Insurrection Act is lawfully declared and there are armed people attacking government institutions. So, it is a gray area there. And I mean, Civil War, the military had to be used on what were actual U.S. citizens, but declared their allegiance for what was technically a foreign enemy, because they said this is now another country. So, I mean, that's a whole different thing. So it really, there are lots of gray areas, and that's why there are constitutional lawyers and stuff. Thank you for what? You're welcome for whatever it is. There's a whole bunch of gray area. And the thing is, honestly, there are some things that if you don't stop to think about, sounds just fine, and you could commit an act that is against the law without realizing. I mean, you can, but there are also war crimes that are very serious. Doesn't the Constitution say that if the government or military turns on you, you have the right to fight back? There's nowhere in the Constitution that says you have the right to fight the government. I mean, there is nothing in there that says, because you have to define turn on you. So I don't know. Is the National Guard a branch of the military? The National Guard is not a branch; it's an entity. However, the National Guard is not under federal control. So what it really says in the Constitution is that federally, it's broken down. Federal troops under federal jurisdiction of the U.S. military cannot do these things. However, the National Guard, unless federalized, is under the jurisdiction of state governors. So they're the same thing as like a state police military force, So under state jurisdiction, they can do what they want. They can enforce laws. If the president signs Title 10 orders, which is what happens when National Guard units are mobilized to go fight wars. They are now part of the United States Army as a whole. They cannot do those things in the United States, but they can fall under federal orders to deploy far, far away and go do military stuff. And so it's a little bit complicated. So the Air National Guard and the National Guard are state governed entities unless they're brought to national service on Title 10. The Air Force Reserve and the Army Reserve are federal level entities at all times. So are the Marine Corps Reserve and the Navy Reserve and the Coast Guard Reserve. There's no National Guard version of the Marine, Navy, or Coast Guard. So that's kind of how it works. They are part of the Army, but they're separate from the Army. And they are, it's weird. It's weird, man. So anyway, so back to the thing about this lieutenant colonel. So in the military, you're given training about what you are and are not allowed to do on social media. And anybody in the military knows you are not allowed to basically, there's this thing called Article 134, which is the general article. We call it the general article. And the general article says that you can be held accountable for anything that is contrary to good order and discipline in the unit, right? And they call it the catch-all article too, because the UCMJ is very specific. Like, they have one specific article that bans dueling at dawn and one article that bans dueling at other times. I mean, so, they're really specific in the UCMJ. They have one that covers prostitution. They have one that covers pandering and pimping. They have one that they have one that covers everything. Anything not covered there is Article 134. Anything contrary to good order and discipline. They have an article that covers adultery, even. So it is. So you are not allowed to. He knew when he made those statements that he was basically going to get himself in trouble. And when people are saying like, "Oh, what about his freedom of speech?" You don't have that freedom of speech when you're in the military. You give up certain rights for the honor of defending everybody else's rights, if that makes sense. There's a lot that comes with being in the military, but there's sacrifices. You don't have the right to come and go as you please, like anybody else would. You give up the right to, I won't say that like anybody else can. Well, any other citizen can take drugs anytime they want. You can't get caught with those drugs, but you can take drugs anytime you want. In the military, you are subject to random, drug tests anytime, anywhere, whenever they feel like it, and suffer the consequences therein. Like I said, the military is the only place in the United States where committing adultery is a crime. Now, you might lead to a divorce with prejudice in some states, but nowhere else can they tell you who you can and can't have sex with. It's in the military, you can actually go to jail for having sex with somebody that works for you. And while in other jobs you might get fired for something like that, they can't actually legally penalize you for that. I mean, it's a whole different world. So this lieutenant colonel knew that he was going to do that. And he chose to speak out knowing there were going to be consequences. And again, for some reason, we seem to be switching into a time where the word freedom is being used synonymously with lack of consequences for your action. And a lot of people are saying you should be able to do what you want. Simon, I apologize. I did not see your comment earlier, so I can't possibly think it was disrespectful. But if you want to do it again, I'll take a look, and chances are I won't think it's disrespectful. Oh yeah, that's what happens. You just that's and 9/11. That's what happened. A lot of people were. Did Aiden not plug the computer? There we go. A lot of people were told to report in, and you were just there. You were just there because they didn't know what else to do. They want to have people on hand. So, well, here's the thing, Scott. The government is supposed to be made up of representatives of the people that represent us. But the representatives stopped being of the people for the people a long time ago, in my opinion. The representatives now act like they rule the people instead of being of the people and for the people. And I think that's a big problem in our government today. We have people that act like once they get elected and they are in charge of the people. And, big thing. And I don't hide the fact that I think AOC is one of the worst people ever elected. And, when she introduced her Green New Deal and people were against it, she came out and she said it flat out. She didn't hold back. She said, we're in charge right now and you're just shouting from the cheap seats. So shut up. I mean, she said that. She's in charge. We're nothing. People that aren't at her level are nothing. But that's a problem. Representatives are supposed to represent, not lord over. But that's how they act these days. That's how it is. And I don't listen. I don't take a side. I think they all suck. I think every single one of them sucks. We need to fire them all and start again. And we need some real strong regulations on what they are and are not allowed to do with term limits and all sorts of stuff. But anyway, after this colonel went out with his first post, he was disciplined and he was given a direct lawful order. While we are examining this situation and figuring out what to do with it, you are not allowed to post on social media again. And whether you understand it or not, the services have very strict social media policies. And yes, they are allowed to tell you you're not allowed to do that because you have the choice. Nobody's forced to be in the military, especially officers. Officers can retire once you finish your first service commitment. And believe me, this dude is way past his initial service commitment as an officer. You can retire that commission at any time you want. You can sign a piece of paper and say, Mr. President, because they're all commissioned by the president. Mr. President, I retire my commission. I am done. I can no longer serve under the whatever. You can say whatever you want. This guy was forced by no one to keep serving, but he chose to. Years after all these social media rules came in, because we had all sorts. I mean, I had some of the dumbest airmen in the world when Obama, got elected, saying, writing like, "Oh, I hope somebody assassinates him," and I'm like, dude, you're talking about your own commander in chief. You cannot say that. You have pictures of yourself in uniform. You have made yourself. You just advocated for the violent overthrow of the United States government. And you are representing yourself in your uniform as your profile picture. You cannot do that, But they told him, they issued him a gag order, and he chose to violate, according to Article 92 of the UCMJ, a direct lawful order, which is why he got hemmed up. And I answered that. I answered that to Simon. I didn't realize that was you. I answered that. The thing is, blaming not. So I gave you a whole written answer on the comment that you wrote, blaming knives for crimes is, to me, is as silly as blaming guns for crimes the way they do here. It's on the individuals, and no, YouTube has not tried anything to stop my channel, not at all. Anyway, where was I going? Yeah. So then people started shouting, again, mostly civilians who have no idea, and pundits on podcasts and stuff, that he was arrested for expressing his opinion, which was against the government. And that's, now he's a political prisoner. And he was never arrested for what he said. He was arrested for the way he chose to go about it. For in his uniform, with his rank and his name tags in U.S. Marines, for number one, violating SOPs, and number two, violating a direct order. And he knew what was going to happen. He knew it. And I think that he was a little bit counting on that happening so that he could say, look at me, look at what they're doing to me. Because most people don't know what the hell's going on. And once again, freedom does not mean zero consequences for your actions. Freedom means you can't be unfairly persecuted for your actions. That's what I take it as. There's no persecution for lawful actions. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean freedom to do whatever the hell you want, no matter what. The same people who say freedom is, free from consequences. Well, do we tell murderers you have freedom to do what you want? Because freedom. Anyway, I wanted to address that because I am walking around. I am walking around interacting with people and on social media too, and in some of the groups that I'm in. And I know that there are some people that are a little extreme in their views, and they're going to latch on to whatever they can to fight about. But I think there are some people that legitimately, they honestly don't know. They don't get it. And they don't understand that the military lifestyle is there. And quite honestly, they're the same people that, whine and cry and say like, oh, how come you never come to visit me since you joined the military? And it's like, because I am in the military. Why don't you ever come to visit me? I can't just travel across the country when I want to. Hello, Mr. Ethan. They're people that just don't understand. And I want to say again, in case you missed it, I absolutely agree with every word this colonel said. He was spot on. He summed up everything that went wrong with the Afghanistan situation in a short Facebook post. He was correct about everything he said. But as so often happens in the military, there's a big difference between being right and being correct. And you can be 100% correct in the military and still be absolutely wrong, because that's the way they built the system. Hey, this is a great comment on that situation. Yeah. Bet you he's going to have a book coming out in a year, right? He said what a lot of us felt, but he was on the verge of retiring too. He could have waited, but you know what? If he had waited another year until he retired, I'm sure he would not have gotten as much press and internet fame as some civilian retired guy as he did as a lieutenant colonel in uniform. You know what I mean? Think about that. So anyway, I know that is not what we normally talk about on this channel, and I'm expecting to see the subscriber count go woo, but what is this? With a bow? An injured Moor in Norway with a bow? No, you know what? We didn't see that. And you know why? Because it wasn't with a gun. That's why we didn't see it. That's why it's not all over the place. But yeah. Scott, the system that we have here, and God bless us, because I will always say this, as broken as our system has, yeah, David, lieutenant colonels retire. They retire very nicely. My dad is a prior E, but he's also lieutenant colonel. But lieutenant colonels retire very nicely. Could this affect his pension? It could. They could dishonorably put him out with the court martial. They could. They could also choose to demote him prior to retiring. Yeah. So they could. It could very much. But so back to what Scott said here, that sounds like the system needs fixed. Yeah. Every system in this country is broken. But I will still say, Simon, I'm glad you appreciated the answer. I appreciated the question. with all that is broken in the United States, having been around the world to places like Kosovo and seen a little bit of Bosnia and Iraq, especially right after the liberation in Afghanistan, the fact that we spend so much time protesting and bitching about what is wrong with America, the idea that we have that much time to focus on it is something that people here will never understand. Like, we have so much in the United, as broken as our system is, as Americans who, by sheer luck of geography, where we're born, and those few who work their ass off to become citizens legally. I met someone, an Uber driver the other day, an Englishman who took him 12 years to go through the whole process. But anyway, we have it is so good for what we have here, compared to what so much of the world does have. And there's places that are better. There are, but we have so much for what we have going on here, and what we can do here, and what we enjoy. When you turn on your faucet and clean water comes out, you need to understand that that's better than what half of the world gets. And when you can go to the bathroom and flush the toilet and it goes away, that's better than what more than half the world gets. I mean, simple things that we don't ordinarily think of. When you get a cold and you're not worried about dying, because we can, and I'm not trying to get into a health insurance talk, but I'm just saying that the fact that we have antibiotics available in the country, we have things to like clean up and wash our hands with. It's just amazing what we do have here as Americans. And it's awesome. It's awesome. The privileges, and I'm not talking about, I hate using certain buzzwords, then people are getting pissed. I'm not talking about being privileged or anything like that. But yeah, the privileges that come with just being here compared to some of the really, really crappy places on earth. I think at some point we need to come together as country people and say, like, wow, this is pretty good. Let's stop trying to tear it all down and let's just fix what we've got and make it better. Not for your individual group or my group, but like as a whole. But anyway, that's just me. That's just me talking about crap. David, what is that? I don't know what you're talking about exactly. I'd like to. I'm not sure I get it. Yes, this is, I say this all the time. Todd, thank you so much for bringing that up. The very fact that that we can have this discussion about what is wrong with the country and we're not worried. We're going to go to bed. We're going to go sleep in our beds tonight and have zero worries about secret police forces rounding us up and like throwing us in a dungeon, tells you exactly why we're lucky to be Americans. Because I have seen the results of what happens in countries where, like again in Iraq or Iraq, so Phil feels better. Right after the liberation, hearing the stories from people who were damn grateful we were there about how family members disappeared, whole families disappeared out of neighborhoods because one person spoke up against Saddam Hussein. You know what I mean? Prior enlisted officer. Yeah, okay. We just always called them prior E's or Mustangs or something. Yeah, but yeah, my dad was a prior enlisted guy because he got arrested, and then the judge told him, well, you can go to the Army or go to jail. It's 3 years Army or 5 years jail. And that started his whole career. Yeah. Sometimes yes, I get it. Sometimes you got to see what else is out there to understand what we do have here. The list is wrong. That is one of the big things that's wrong. And you know why? And again, I'm going to throw this to, it's because our representatives are not representing us. They're representing whatever lobby group throws them the most money to help them get reelected the next time. From the minute they swear in and take office, they're worried about their next reelection. They're not worried about the people. They're worried about keeping what power they just gained. They're not caring about the citizens they're supposed to represent. And people like Scott and me and all of you get screwed over by it. I could do kids on more reason. Oh. Hey, Sunshine, if you've got a cool video that like a little promo video, drop a link to that in the chat too, so we can see it. Yeah. I was going to say you don't need to show travel papers to go from state to state, but actually, now sometimes you kind of do. Yeah, we were just having a good talk about China the other day in the shop, and how, you know, people always want to talk about communist China, communist China, communist China. Because really, China's not a communist country. China is a dictatorship that hides behind communism. The citizens in China live under communism. The leadership in China, they are not communists. They take everything. They are living in a situation that the Soviet Union was living in right before it fell down, where their economy is actually in, like, they don't have the big thriving economy. Their housing and building situation is, I don't want to get into that, but it's terrible. It's terrible. And you know, the common ordinary citizen in China is equal to every other common ordinary citizen in China, which is to say they are nothing. But the ruling party in China lives in mansions and castles and you know, all the excesses, just like the Politburo members did in Soviet Russia. Russia is not a communist country anymore. Russia is a step away from, you know, Nazi Germany being ruled by one person with an iron fist. And wait, actually, may I take parts of this video for some teaching? Yeah, I mean, you can take this video and do what you want with it. Just understand that with the caveat that, you know, I'm giving you my perspective from my experience and my training. I'm not speaking on behalf of anybody or any organization or anything like that. This is good. That's a good quote. That is a really good quote. Where's her link? Where's the link? Did I miss it? Sunshine, I don't see the link. I see, check this out, Doc. I see this. Gotta find Sunshine's link. And this. She didn't put it up yet. Sunshine, we missed the link. Question, which countries make the best quality knives in your opinion? Oh, we could do this over and over. So here's the thing. I don't really look at countries anymore. Like, you know, I don't look at countries as a whole, because there are some, Facebook link. I'll have to check that out. There are some companies in China that make very good quality knives. There are some companies in China that make very terrible knives. There are companies in I can't even speak, in the USA that make great knives, and there are some companies in the USA that make absolute crap. I don't. Sunshine, send it to me on Facebook in a message, and I'll post it. And you know, there are so it's not so much a matter, and I don't look at it as a national thing anymore as to which country makes it or doesn't. I look at it as the companies involved, honestly. And there are not a whole lot of bad German-made knives, honestly. There are not a lot of. I'm trying to think of like. I don't know. There are a lot of bad Chinese knives. There's some very good ones. I'm trying to think of what other countries out there that make stuff. Like I don't know. But so really, what I'm saying is, yeah, like you got to look for the actual. You got to kind of search for the companies of what you're looking at. Oh, she sent it to me in a text, and so now, hold on, I can do this. I have smarts. Let's copy message text. I can do this, guys. Oh, hey, Raver Boy, how you doing? And then I can compose. Oh, all right. She just did it in a way that I can actually make this happen. A lot easier. I don't know what. Sometimes people send me links on Facebook that I don't understand at all. Not you guys. Other people. Other people do. You know what? People do that for me too sometimes, and I say, fine, send me a more expensive knife, or join the Patreon team and pay for me to do more expensive knives from other places. Go for it. Or I tell them, then comment what is bad about. Like I was showing something by We, and somebody said, "Oh, it's just a Chinese made piece of why are you promoting China?" Blah blah blah. And I said, look at the materials and the workmanship and the craftsmanship, and show me, compare it to something better made somewhere else. Go for it. And they never responded back. So it's like, yeah, shut up. Like, you guys noticed I've been a little bit more tame in my response to comments lately. And I don't know if it's just because I'm getting tired of dealing with idiots, or yeah, if you don't like the Chinese knives, don't buy expensive knives. Don't buy the Chinese knives. That's it. The thing is, I'm telling you, like the U.S. made knives, Spyderco is holding steady. Benchmade quality control has been going down. It has. And you look at my videos from a few years ago, I was a little slut for Benchmade. I loved them so much, and I was just a little fangirl all over the place for them. Gerber I never really liked, but what other USA? Even Gerber's USA made stuff is not as good as some of the stuff coming off the high-end Chinese production lines these days. And people are like, yeah, but what about American production, this and that? I'm like, American production needs to step up their game, because the majority of people don't have the money to throw away on crap. They have money that they're going to spend on good stuff. And it's people don't want to see reviews on. They do want to see some reviews on fancy stuff that it is nice to dream about having, but people want to see reviews on things that they might potentially buy and use, honestly. And that's what I try to focus on. That's why I had a whole bunch of budget blades over the summer. And Kubi is a great brand. I love Kubi. And when they say it's D2, it really is D2. Although there's been, who was lying about the D2? It's Ethan Grow. Ethan Grow got, they got caught, and like, so they're now trying, they have a new executive in charge, and they're making good on changing the steel, and they're like, we don't want to, we don't want to, we don't want to steal designs anymore. We want to come up with some of our own. And, I respect them for publicly saying it and admitting, yeah, in the past we did some dirty stuff. Now I'm just waiting for them to make good. This came also from Tactical Bacon, with what he was saying. We really agreed on that it'd be great if they actually did that. Let's see how they do it. Will you get approved? You can email me or PM to order. You will get approved. Okay. So anyway, guys, all right. So we've been going for a little over an hour. So anyway, you guys are really cool. I know we ranted and raved a lot about UCMJ, but boy, this whole situation's pissing me off. I'm sorry I was not prepared. I did a live stream this week and I forgot. But tomorrow you'll see the NV01 night vision binoculars. Friday, you'll see the whole unboxing from Monthly Knife Club. Monopoly games you have bought because you have cut up all the money. Oh, no, that cutting money comes from a bunch I bought once upon a time for fires starting in the backyard. I still have some. So anyway, guys, I really appreciate you putting up with my lateness tonight and forgiving me. Thank you, guys. You guys are all absolutely awesome. I appreciate every single one of you, as always. Thank you. I will see you again next week, and I'll try to pump out some videos in the meantime, but I will see you soon.